Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey, and we're back in Scotland, and we're going to go back to my whiskey tour, rambling around Scotland. This is our trip up north of Edinburgh. We headed up into the Highlands, and we did a little sidetrack to Stirling Castle, but we ended up going north of Perth, and we got up into the Pitlochry, Aberfeldy area, Blair Athol. And we originally wanted to tour Edradour. I've always been fascinated with that little distillery, but it was closed this year, and we did get a chance to see it. And I talked to the locals about it, and it seems a mystery why it's closed. They say they couldn't get enough staff. The locals say that's what they say, but anyways, we decided to tour Blair Athol, and it was recommended by a fellow that I know. I'd met down in Parksville. He was quite knowledgeable. He toured Scotland several times, and he said it's the most beautiful little distillery, and he's dead on. So anyways, I've done a presentation, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. Basically, what we're going to do, a lot of people have not heard of Blair Athol because they don't produce a lot of whiskey. And, pardon me, they don't produce a lot of whiskey from that distillery that is labeled under the Blair Athol name. Most of their whiskey goes into blends like Bell's. A little bit goes into Johnny Walker, some goes into Black and White, but most of it goes into Bell's. And there's been a relationship between Bell's and Blair Athol that goes back to I think 1898 or something. But there it is. Isn't that a cute little guy? I got a few of these. I got one Klein Leash as well, and I do have some samples from the distillery. And I got one that's cast, well, not quite cast strength, it's 56.1, and then I got another one that's, I think, 46. This one here, I believe, is 43. And this is finished in sherry. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of the distillery history. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I got a presentation, but just to... When was it built? 1798. This is an old distillery, but it wasn't called Blair Athol back then. It was built by John Stewart and Rob Robertson, and they called it, well, they actually named it after the burn where they got their water source from, and that is Altdoor. In 1825, Robertson changed it to Blair Athol, but of course the Duke of Athol was the landowner. So he might have something to do with it. Maybe they were trying to get in good favor with the Duke. But in 1826, it changes to a new leaser, and it's Alexander Conacher and Company. And then the ownership was passed on to, now Elizabeth Conacher, I have to get a little more history on her. She had it for 26 years. Now I don't know if he passed away, and I think she inherited it, is my understanding. But anyways, she had it for 26 years, and in those days, she would have been one of the first women to own and run a distillery. In 1886, it was purchased by Peter Mackenzie, and he was the founder of Dufftown. And then it fell silent in 1932. We make a big jump there. And that's when a lot of distilleries fell silent during the Depression. In 1933, Arthur Bell and Company, somebody we know, Bell's, he purchased Peter Mackenzie and Company along with Blair Athol. And it didn't get into production until it was 1949. Production capacity was expanded to 4 stills, from 2 to 4 stills in 1973. And then Guinness buys Arthur Bell and Sons. And of course we know what happens to Guinness, but before that, of course, 1987 is when they started the visitor center. So this would have been one of the earlier visitor centers, but of course Guinness, Diageo. So anyways, that's enough. We are going to get a pour happening here. Cute little bottle. I really I love this bottle. See if I can open it with my fingernail here. There we are. I was bringing back some other whiskey, so I had to limit what I brought back, and we didn't want to pay a lot of duty, but here we are. We're going to give it a pour, and I can get the nose of that stuff from way back here. Wow. I got to show you this cute little bottle. So yeah, I did have the temptation to grab the bigger bottles, but you can get a chance to see it there. So now I know this is colored. Well, it doesn't say it. It doesn't say it isn't. It's not dark color, and we know it's finished in sherry casks. So I don't know how much coloring they put in, but it's Diageo. Chill filtering. Well, you know Diageo, I say no more. But anyways, there it is. And so I'll bring the glass up here. Was advised to let this sit for a while, both by the people at the distillery as well as some other reviewers. So we will be back after this short presentation. I'm going to leave this at least 20 minutes. Okay? We'll see you when you get back.
We are leaving Edinburgh and heading north to the Scottish Highlands. After sidetracking to Stirling Castle, we were heading northeast through Perth. We're in the Pitlochry area to look at the castles and of course the distilleries. We're now in the Highlands with the clans, their castles, and their history. And this is where the whiskey makers would hide their stills from the taxmen, better known as the gougers. And what we have left today are the legal distilleries, like Aberfeldy Distillery, built by John Dewar's sons back in 1896. We're now heading back to Blair Athol, more distilleries, and home to the famous and ancient Blair Castle. Built during the Crusades, Blair Castle was a key part of the Scottish Wars and history. General Wade started building the Great North Road back in the 1700s, which closely follows A9 today. Pitlochry developed along that route on the outskirts of the ancient community of Moulin. This was also another area where illegal distilling was done. We're going to take a peek at Edradour Distillery, which was built in 1825 by 3 farmers. Besides its colorful history with its mafia connections, it is known today to do things old school and in small batches. Since Edradour Distillery was shut down, we're now going to tour Blair Athol Distillery. Blair Athol has to be one of the prettiest little distilleries in Scotland. If you are not in Scotland touring the Highlands, you'd probably not know about this distillery. There are very few distillery bottlings because majority of their whiskey goes into Diageo blends. This distillery was making whiskey while we were touring it. The sides of the 8-ton stainless steel mash tun were uniquely finished with wooden staves. The cloudy worts and the short fermentation in the 6 washbacks contribute to the unique flavor of the spirit. I found that there was a lot of equipment crammed in a very small area in this distillery. You had to remember that those stills are at work and they are hot. The low wines from the wash still come out around 23%, and the new make from the spirit still is at 67%. Most of Blair Athol's spirit goes into bourbon casks, but there are a few special releases, including the distillery's own 12-year-old that are finished in a sherry cask. I did not taste the 3 drams in the glasses in front of me, but instead had them poured into sample bottles. I brought the 3 sample bottles back from Scotland, as well as a small bottle of their 12-year-old. We're going to taste that today.
Well, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that video. I did try to condense it a bit, but again, it's our rambling tour of Scotland. I mean, we did cover 5,000 kilometers, so there is a lot of film and pictures and a lot of stories. Let's get into this. So, the nose. We've had it sit for 20-25 minutes, and we will give it the nose. Right off the bat, sherry. I can get the leather, and I got some floral notes happening. Real slight bit of, it's almost putrid. Not heavy putrid, not in a bad way. I mean, I find cologne sometimes a bit on the putrid side, so. Again, maybe a little bit of paint thinner in the background. We are getting back to the floral notes, some sweetness, and spices. Lots of different spices. Maybe some cinnamon here. Maybe a little bit of allspice. Fennel. Nice. Anyways, let's get into the palate. Cilantro. Spicy. And I've got a feeling this one's going to be a dry one. A little bit of licorice notes there. Berries. Grapes. Date squares. I've been doing that one quite a bit lately. Sultana cookies. Getting some malt. Something malty. And the wood. Definitely getting some wood. Slight bit of astringency. Wee bit of bitterness. And the malt is definitely there. But I think it's going to be a battle between the sherry and the malt. It could be a situation where they've actually got it well balanced. So berries, some granola, cereal notes, grassy notes, but berries. It's going to be a dryness. I got a bit of a mouth coating here. So let's work on the development and the finish. Cilantro. There's definitely some nuts, walnuts, hazelnuts, and there's a coating in the mouth, but it's not going to be a long finish. Getting some bit of tobacco and coffee. The chocolate's coming through. That's dark chocolate. The pepper that is pleasing, not the pepper that knocks you over. But definitely a dryness to the mouth. I'm going to venture to say that I can add a drop of water to this. But I'm going to use my trusty old Johnny Walker eyedropper there that my daughter got for me when I was at Princess Street. And I better use it because she's going to be upset if I don't. The last couple of times I think I've been adding water because some of the whiskeys I've been drinking lately are much heavier body than this. So I can put a little bit more water in them, but this one I'm going to be cautious. And boy, 2 drops at the most. In fact, I'm going to use my glasses because I don't want to put more than 2 drops in here. It did sweeten it up a bit. And I'm still getting the floral notes. Getting a lot. Licorice came back, and or fennel. Maybe it's fennel. It's something between licorice and fennel. Aniseed. The putrid disappeared. But lots of spice. with, I'm going to go with the toffee and the berries and some flowers. Definitely some spring flowers in here. Some lilac maybe. Bit of leather showing here. Getting a bit of a spectrum here of stuff, but the water really opened it up. 2 drops. I wouldn't put any more than that in because look what it's done. We got to hit the palate here. It's a lot of fun. The water sweetened it up. 2 drops. It sweetened it up. Spices are beautiful. And it's still leaving a bit of a coating on my mouth. And still getting some spice, cinnamon, and wee bit of pepper, nutmeg. So the battle between the malt, the granola, and the sherry, it's pretty balanced. One's not overpowering the other. And the wood's no longer overpowering the drink, which is good, you know. So it's a balanced drink. A couple drops of water. What do I give this guy? You know what? This is one of those drinks that I think if you approach it in the wrong mood or at the wrong time, it wouldn't get a decent score. And your mood, the time of the day, your energy level, there's so many things that affect the way we score these whiskeys. And so sometimes we don't give them a fair shot. In this case, it might be that it gets a more than a fair shot because I'm in the right mood, and I do like this stuff. It's an 83 to 84. I'm going to leave it at that. It's a decent whiskey. I would recommend it if the price is right. I didn't pay a lot for it. I was in Scotland. You might have trouble finding this over here in North America because I haven't seen it, but I'm certain it's going to show up with some of the independent bottlers because I know that some of the independent bottlers do get a hold of Blair Athol, but remember that my understanding from the distillery is that 99% of this goes into blends and a huge part of it goes to bells, so it might be very hard to find that 1%, and it's a shame because I think this distillery produces a good whiskey. So I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, and do not drink and drive. And until the next time, so much.